Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen, the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. Start off with my schedule this weekend. I am in Milwaukee, Wisconsin at the Improv. That's April 26th to the 28th. And then May 2nd, I'm at the Miracle Theater in Inglewood, California. That's a Thursday. That's part of the Netflix Is a Joke Festival. May 3rd through the 5th, I'm in Killeen, Texas at the Twice as Funny Comedy Lounge. And May 10th through the 12th, I'm in Pleasanton, California at Tommy T's. And May 17th through the 19th, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida at the Comedy Zone. And let's just finish up the month. May 23rd to the 26th, I'm in Addison, Texas at the Improv. Hey, as a guy that's been doing therapy for the last couple of years, let me tell you something. If you're thinking about giving therapy a try, give BetterHelp a try. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Owen today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Owen. Last week, I had a bunch of shows. I was in Greenville, South Carolina. Funniest thing happened. A guy passes out at my show, and we'll show it to you real quick.
Y'all be knocking motherfuckers out at my show.
So the funny story about that is his girlfriend or wife was asleep most of my show. She was knocked out. And then he kept hitting her. He kept being like, "God, wake up." And he's laughing at everything extra hard. And then she goes to the bathroom. She finally wakes up. She goes to the bathroom. He passes out. And he was like this for a good 10 minutes before I did the video that you just saw. He was like, it was almost like he was a wax figure. It was just right here. And then crowds laughing and everything, and then he never came to. So I don't know if this dude's alive or not. But somebody showed my road manager, Brad, they had a video of him, and I wish we never got it, but they had a video of him in line before the show, and him and his girl was just cutting up. They were already, shit-faced, everything. They're dancing, have a good time, and it was just like they got in there, and I think with the comedy club setting, lights are dim. It's a little cooler in the showroom normally than outside, and I think it just knocked them out. That's the second time I've gotten that on video, and both times have been in South Carolina. So Greenville, South Carolina, guy passed out this past weekend, and about 6-7 years ago, I was in Columbia, South Carolina at the Comedy House, and a dude passed out, mouth open though. I mean, wide open. His head was back, mouth was open, and I put my phone, and I was like, I'm killing motherfuckers at my show, killing them. And then he never woke up either. And then when I came back about a year and a half later, he came up to me, he goes, "Hey, man, you remember me?" I said, "I will never forget your face." And he was so proud of it. He was like, "Yeah, man, that was crazy." He was like, too many Crown Royals or something. Just passed out. So second time it's happened to me in my life. And speaking of shit-faced, so I did this benefit in Nashville last week for Kid Rock, and all the proceeds went to, I think, the fallen soldiers or something along the military. And if that's not the right charity, I apologize. But something along the military. Kid Rock is the ultimate American. So we do the show, and I guess, I don't know if, I figured Kid Rock was familiar with me a little bit. I assumed, and that's the problem with assuming. I shouldn't have. I don't think he had any clue who I was. And I went last on the show with, it was Adam Carolla. It was John Reap, Chris Porter, a couple other people. It was a show that wasn't necessarily my audience, but they had me closing it. So Carolla goes up, and he goes over his time, but he didn't do it like being a dick. He was just like, they were telling him that Afro Man was the musical artist at the end. So I'm talking about, I close the show as far as the comedians go. So they kept saying, Afro Man's not here. He's run late. We're going to have you stretch. Well, the promoters were telling me that I was going to have to stretch. And I was like, all right. And usually that's how it goes. The last guy is the one that stretches and gets off. Well, I don't know who told Adam he had to stretch. So he feels like he's stretching. Then he brings Kid Rock on stage. They're having a back and forth banter for like 10 minutes. And I looked around and I go, does he know I'm next? I still got to go up. I was like, so anyways, they finally bring me up. I got a decent applause. Definitely was not my typical audience. And it was crazy because I walked on stage and I got the courtesy claps. Carolla, they act like Chris Rock got announced. He got a huge ovation when he got announced. So I was like, okay, this was definitely more his audience because they went nuts. And then I go up and I got but I heard a couple screams from here and they're like, oh shit. Like people that are surprised to see me. And it took me, I think I did 20 minutes. First couple, it took me to get them. But man, once I got them, they was locked in with me. So I ended up having a ball and, ripped. I hate when comedians say that. I destroyed standing O, but I did really well. Especially going last on a show that if I would have put it together, I would have had Adam go last. Because for that audience, he was the biggest name for that audience. But, it's neither here nor there. That's the second time I've been on a show where I would say not my core audience that I had to close. And I like it because it makes you stronger as a comic. And sometimes I like doing shows like that. I did a show about seven years ago with Judd Apatow at the Largo in L.A., and I had to go up after Adam Sandler. I went last on this show after Adam Sandler did, like, music bits, guitar. The crowd went nuts, and then he just got off, and then Judd goes, all right, Gary Owen. I was like, oh, shit. And that was the same. It's the same energy. It takes me a couple minutes to get them, but once I finally get them, the crowd's with me. It was very similar to that. But that show following Adam Sandler was a little rougher. One, I think 7 years ago, I wasn't, even though I've been doing this a long time, I wasn't as seasoned and well-versed. And now my material, I feel like, is just so universal. It's not too far left, too far right. Everybody gets what I'm talking about. So it's the second time it's happened to me in my career that I just went up on a show that I typically, if I looked at the lineup, like the show with Judd Apatow, I would have thought Adam Sandler would have went last. That show with Kid Rock, I would have thought Adam Carolla. Maybe it's with the Adams. What's with me following Adams? I don't know. But both shows end up being great. I'm glad I did it. Worked out. Got great ovation for the crowd. But it takes them a couple minutes because they're coming off such a high and such a rush. And then you got to go up after that. But it ended up being great. But the funny part was, after the show, we're backstage, and somebody said, hey, Bob wants to holler at you. I go, all right, who the hell's Bob? I don't know that's Kid Rock's real name. So I was like, oh. So I go over there, and somehow he was already lit. He wasn't Bob. He was Kid Rock. And I ended up talking to his manager because Kid Rock's got his club, the Kid Rock Honky Tonk down there. So we went there, and they close off like the third floor for just people that are associated with the show. And I got to meet a lot of people. I got to catch up with a lot of people, a lot of comics that isn't in my normal circle. I got to actually interact with John Reep, Adam Carolla, Chris Porter, and such. And then, so it was cool to hang out with them. And then it was funny because Kid, before we went to his honky tonk, I went to go say hi to him. I'm assuming, again, this one again for assuming, he knew who I was, and it came very apparent. He thought I was funny. He said, man, funny shit and everything. But then he brought up mixed kids or something like that. And he said, they tell me you got mixed kids or something like that. I said, yeah, I got some. And then the fact that he didn't know. He didn't know I had an ex-wife. I got mixed kids, all that stuff. An ex-wife that was black, I should say. I was like, wow. He really had no idea who I was. And then at the end of the night, he's getting ready to leave, and somebody said, you want to go over his house? And I was beat. I couldn't make it. And there's no rumors of Kid Rock being like Diddy. Let's put it like that. So going over Kid Rock's house is usually pretty safe. I was just like, I'm beat. I got nothing left. But before he left, my road manager, Brad, he tried to grab Kid and be like, hey, can you get a picture with Gary? And he said something like, oh, I ain't taking no more fucking pictures or something like that. So it wasn't personal to me. And I bet you he don't even remember my road manager asking him. And I looked at Brad. We just started dying laughing. I was like, damn, there's a no. And then there's, I ain't taking no more fucking pictures. So some people can take that the wrong way. I just laugh. Being in entertainment business, I get it when you're done with pictures. And especially if it didn't register who was asking him for the picture. And I don't think he realized who asked him and who he was asking for. But other than that, great experience. I'm glad I did the show in Nashville last week for Kid Rock, and it was dope. And I got to meet him, so I had never met him before. And he had no clue who I was. It happens, little ego check. So, yeah, other than that was great. Okay. Next week, I'm going to go on Club Shay. I'm not, I don't know what's going to air, but I'm recording next week. This is the power of that show, and I want people to realize it. Johnny Manziel went on there and was talking about how Reggie Bush should get his Heisman Trophy back. And I came on my podcast, and I was saying, hey, the only way we can get this done is all the Heisman winners got to come together and say, we're not showing up for the award ceremony unless Reggie's a part of it. And I think from Johnny Manziel bringing it up on Club Shay to the groundswell after that, Reggie's getting his Heisman back. And honestly, you could probably thank the NIL for it, because now that all of Reggie's transgressions would be null and void if the NIL was around when he was playing. It's almost like being in jail for selling beepers. There's no more beepers. You can't go to jail for selling illegal beepers anymore. or weed's legal now. You're in jail for selling weed. You should be let out. That's what it felt like. So I'm so ecstatic for Reggie. He should have never got it taken away anyways. USC should have never been punished. All these big programs, they're all, quote unquote, how can I say this? They're all stretching the rules, and athletes are, athletes are getting taken care of, and we all know this. We got to stop with this whole, they go on these witch hunts against these universities, and they're doing all these illegal activities and all these sanctions against them and stuff. And I'm like, duh. So the fact that they honed in on Reggie and completely villainized him and act like he was the worst human being on the planet, and he broke the rules, and his family was shady, and he was doing shady shit. Dude, I say he's the most, that I've ever seen, exciting college football player I've ever seen. I think Reggie Bush, as far as running back, Johnny Manziel's 1, Reggie Bush is 2. That's what I say. As far as just college, screw how their high school or pro careers turned out. I'm talking in college. When Johnny Manziel played, you was locked in. When USC was playing during the Reggie Bush days, you was locked in. Remember the Fresno State game? He cut, and then he went behind the back and put in his other hand and just stopped and walk by. Yeah. He did a basketball move. I was like, that was one of the best runs I've ever seen. So it's just, the Heisman finally, and the NCAA, you finally got it right. So thank you guys for making that right. USC can put all his records back up, put his Heisman back in the trophy case, and it was just the right thing to do. It really was. So that was so cool to see. And here's the crazy part. Talk about Club Shay and everything. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Obviously, my divorce is going to come up in the interview at some point. But I'm flying last week from Atlanta to Cincinnati. And I'm on my flight, and I'm already seated. and my ex-wife gets on the plane. I haven't seen her in so long, and I went, there's no way this is happening. And she didn't see me when she walked by my row. I was in row 3, and she walked right by me. And I was just like, I can't let it just happen. So I get off the plane, and I don't see her. But then I see her at baggage claim, and she came up, and we spoke, and we talked about a litany of things. And I did tell her, like, I'm going on Club Shay. I just want you to know that. And obviously the divorce will come up. And I don't think I've ever said bad things about her. I think people can misconstrue, like, the truth or a story and, like, we're talking smack. But I don't ever do that. I'm very careful with my words. I can tell my version of things. I can tell stories about my divorce and stuff. But I'm very careful not to, quote unquote, throw under the bus or anything like that, because when you're with somebody, as long as I was with her, as long as she was with me, we know everything about each other. Everything. We know all their good points and their bad points, just like everybody. And it just does no good to air it out for the public to see. And I always said, I got on here a couple months ago and I said good things about her. And I think the thing with her that I wish was different was when I say good things, nothing. But if I was to say anything that can be misconstrued as bad, which I don't think it's bad, you're just telling your story. I get vilified for it. So it's just like, dang, I say nice things. Nobody brings that up. And we talked about all that stuff, and she told me I wouldn't do it. I go, you must be crazy. The biggest podcast on earth, you don't want me to do. And then she said, I'm not going to help. It's not going to help with my relationship with the kids. And I'm going, well, I don't really have one right now with them. So, again, I'm not going on there to bash anybody. I can just tell my experience, what I experienced through the divorce, what I did wrong, what I did right. It's not all like I was right. People like to really throw out that word narcissist, but I'm fully aware of where I went wrong and things I would have did different in my divorce. And I'll talk about it on Shannon Sharp's podcast, and then I'll come back on here after it airs, and I'll talk about it some more. But I am going on Club Shay, so I'm excited. And I don't know where the interview is going to go. I've done interviews like the Cam Newton podcast was dope. We got a little deep at the end. The Shaq one was just fun. I did one Street Stars in Dallas. That was fun. I delved in a little bit with my divorce, but that was a fun one. So I don't know where it's gonna go. We'll see. But I'm not going on there to bash anybody or anything. But I think it was cool to see her. But I wish I could see my kids. That'd be the big thing. I kept bringing that up to her, and I guess they're just they're still not ready. So one day. But it was funny, too, because I was in Atlanta, and I was with my road manager, Brad, and we drove by this place called the Red Martini. And I had been there before. It's been years, right? And as we drove by it, I looked at Brad, and I said, man, when's the last time we ever went in there? And me and Brad just had this discussion within the last month of probably about 12 years ago, we were in a club. And I remember I looked at him, I said, hey, man, when does this end? When does this end that we just stop going to clubs? When do we become the old guys in a club? Because I was already starting to feel it. And that was 12 years ago. And he goes, I don't know, man. And then we drove by the Red Martini, and I go, remember we had that discussion years ago? When does it end? I go, well, it's over. I have no desire to go to a nightclub at all, unless I'm getting a little change, some money in my pocket. I still want people sometimes want me to come to after parties. Or every now and then you'll be with a group and you go out and you have a good time. But even then, if we ain't got a section, I ain't dealing with the crowd anymore. I got to sit down. So we drove by it. It's the Red Martini. So here's the story. Gets funny. The very next day, there's a video of Lotto, Usher, and Kevin Hart in a nightclub. And you see Kevin like he does not want to be there. And Lotto's in her 20s. So she's right in it. She's in the pocket right now. This is clubbing age. And Usher just seemed like he was smoking a hookah. So I don't know where Usher was at. But Kev Clearly didn't want to be there. And then I watched the video a couple times, and then I realized, I don't know if I saw a bottle girl in the back. I don't know if I saw a light, but it said Red Martini. I said, holy shit. At the exact day that me and Brad drove by there and said, I have no desire to ever go in there again. I am too old. I'm tired. That's where Kevin was, looking too old and too tired, and his face red. That's what his face said. And I was like, oh, my God. Kev was the exact guy I said I would be if I was going to Red Martini right now. I thought it was just such a coincidence that happened the same day that we drove by Red Martini, and then talking about we're too old to be in there, and then Kev does a video where he looks too old to be in there. I just thought the coincidence, I was like, what are the chances? I'm thinking about some nights in Atlanta, some club nights. There was one night, man, I went out, and I don't think I told my wife I was going out that night. Because some nights, like, sometimes my ex, she just wanted me to get on stage and go home. And that was it. Or go back to the hotel and that was it. And I was like, man, you're on such a rush sometimes. Especially when you're in your 30s, 20s and 30s. It's hard just to go back to the room. Now where I'm at, I can't wait to get back to my room and just chill out after the show. It's like, oh, I was like, man, it happened. But anyways, there was one night I didn't tell her, and I went to some nightclub, and it was open late, and I was ready to go. There was a shooting. The shooting was either right outside the club or in the club or something, but they locked everybody in. I think there was a shooting in the club, and the guy ran out, and they didn't know where he was. They were chasing him in the parking lot. They locked everybody in the club, and we couldn't leave till like 5 a.m. And I just remember we were sitting there, and my ex started calling, and I just had to own it. Like, hey, we went out, we're stuck. Because I couldn't be like this. I couldn't tell like 1,000 people, shh, please, my wife's on the phone. Can everybody quiet down? I didn't tell her I was going out. This was probably this was a long time ago. This was like 2008. Man, it's a long time ago. And you want to know why I know that? Because I remember, my memory's weird sometimes. Barack was running for office, and John McCain was, and I was somewhere, my hotel or something, and I had a Barack button and a John McCain button. And then I went in some brother's section, and I put the John McCain button on, but I didn't put it on, I just held it up to my chest, and the brother took it and stomped on it. He started like, hey man, you get me weird into my section. We started laughing. So that's why I remember what year that was. It was 2008 because I had those buttons on. Wow. Yeah, dude got shot and I was just stuck. Like, oh my God, I got nowhere to go. So yeah. So in other news, remind me not to get in a battle with Chris Brown. Seriously, what can that guy not do? He can dance. He can play basketball. He's a great athlete. He did all his stunts and takers, R&B, and now we're finding out he can rap and do diss tracks. Did I say dance? Yeah, I said dance. He went so hard at Quavo. I was like, oh, and it was so direct. It was like a throwback. Because now a lot of the disses, Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole's, if you're not familiar with them, you're like, what are they talking about? I don't know. Boy, Chris Brown, you know what he was talking about? I slept with your girl. I was like this. You can have my old bitch because I got the new bitch. I slept with your girl when you was with her. I was like this. Whoa, 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 whoa. It was just, and it was hard. And then Quavo took a couple days and he responded. But Quavo, man, the way he raps and his cadence, it's like, what? You got to really listen and lock in, and it ain't got that. Chris sounds like he's in your face and all rapping like this. Quavo, when his diss track sounds like he's looking this way, but you're over here, and he's dissing you, and you're like, is he talking about me or isn't he? I was like, you. So, in my humble opinion, Chris Brown absolutely destroyed Quavo if we're going off this rap battle. And I think most people would agree, unless you're just a huge Quavo fan and can't be honest with yourself, there's no doubt that was a freaking annihilation. And the fact that it was an R&B guy, it's like Chris Brown. I'm like, the guy's so damn talented. He's like, oh. I was like, how did? When it came out of nowhere, and then I've seen those videos of him and some of these celebrity games always calling out Quavo. And Quavo's a good basketball player too. Like Chris Brown and Quavo, yeah, that's what they should do to settle this. Play a game of 21. Let's not fight or shoot. Let's just play a game of 21. Both of you can hoop. Both of you take pride in your hoop games. Don't get your teams together. Don't have Chris Brown get a team from Virginia or L.A. and Quavo get a team from Atlanta. You guys play 21. Just you two, and see, and then we can squash it that way. Or have some fun with it anyways. But yeah, it's just like, it'd be almost like Michael Jackson coming out with a diss record against LL Cool J back in the late 80s or early 90s. The fact that an R&B guy just went that hard on a guy that all he does is rap. I was like, can you imagine Michael Jackson when he came at LL back in like 89? He could have rapped over, I need love. When I'm alone in my room, I can see, that's really what the equivalent was. I was like, I never seen. Remind me not to get on Chris Brown's bad side. And every time I've met Chris and Quavo, but I'm not a very confrontational dude, but I've only met Quavo a couple times in social settings. He's always been cool. Chris Brown I met 4 or 5 times. Every time cool. I was shocked that first time I met him was in Vegas, and somebody I knew his bodyguard. And they called me up to his area, and then Chris Brown goes, "What's up, man? Big fan." I was like, "Really?" That's what I thought Kid Rock was going to say, what Chris Brown said. And then we ended up talking about Takers, and I was like, "Did you do your own stunts in Takers?" And he was like, "Yeah." We was talking about Will Packer and everything like that. And it's just cool. And then, of course, he was in Think Like a Man, so he wasn't there a lot, but a couple days he was shooting. He was cool. And then see him in Vegas a couple times. Chris Brown's always been cool to me, but I'm not addicted to people either. So, and I don't start beefs. Even though after this, giving my opinion on the rap beef, the diss records, I'm sure Quavo ain't gonna like me. I'm just giving my opinion. This ain't personal. This ain't nothing bad on Quavo. I just think Chris Brown won this rap battle. Similar to how Drake, I think, destroyed Meek Mill years ago when they had their little rap battle. When Drake did back-to-back, I was like, oh my God, Drake just destroyed Meek Mill. So, that Meek Mill's a bad guy, though. I just think he got destroyed in that, just like Chris Brown destroyed Quavo in this. So, happens. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Owen today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Owen. And then, okay, last thing I'm going to talk about is Megan Thee Stallion. Let me get this guy's name. I want to make sure this guy gets the just due that he deserves, because I think he's a piece of shit. Now, I could come back and regret saying that, but oh my God, Wikipedia, please. Let me just go to Media Takeout's always a good place to go for this. What's this dude's name? Come on. Okay, here it says. Megan Thee Stallion was sued yesterday by a man who worked for Meg. The male photographer named Emilio Garcia is claiming that Meg provided a hostile work environment where employees were subjected to sexual harassment and inappropriate behavior. Sounds a lot like Lizzo right now. So, Meg is this is what Media Takeout's saying. Meg is basically being called the female Diddy. Emilio claims that Meg forced her employees to be around toxic, inappropriate behavior on a daily basis. Emilio goes by the name Emilio Cucci, IN, on Instagram. This is him, Emilio Cucci, on Instagram. If he goes to Instagram, you think he would enjoy it. But from what I read, let me make sure I want to make sure I have the right info. I don't want to give out rumors. the Stallion. And I think you just type in Emilio. Yeah, there it is. I want to see exactly what he's saying. Oh, who's the safest one to go to? USA Today, The Daily Beast, The Guardian, Billboard, NBC News. We'll go with... okay. Emilio Garcia filed a lawsuit alleging he was trapped inside a moving vehicle with the hip-hop star in a foreign country while she had sex with a woman. A former cameraman for Megan Thee Stallion who alleges he was trapped inside a moving vehicle with the hip-hop star in a foreign country while she had sex with a woman has filed a lawsuit accusing the entertainer of harassment in a hostile work environment. What the fuck is hostile about that? That's a dream scenario. What are you talking about, Emilio? Emilio Garcia said in the suit filed Tuesday in Los Angeles County Superior Court that after the alleged incident, he was warned, don't ever discuss what you saw. Duh. You don't ever discuss that shit. That's called really being in the loop. And berated, fat-shamed, and treated differently by Megan. The harassment was so severe and pervasive that it created a hostile and abusive work environment that made Garcia's working conditions intolerable, the suit said. Then why don't you quit? This is an employment claim for money with no sexual harassment claim filed and with the salacious accusations to attempt to embarrass her. We will deal with this in court, an attorney for Megan Thee Stallion, Alex Spiro, said Tuesday. Something about them Alexes. They always make good lawyers. Representatives for Rock Nation did not respond to requests for comment. Garcia began working for Megan Thee Stallion, whose real name is Megan Pete, as a personal cameraman in 2018, quit his job in 2019 to pursue the gig with the Grammy winner full-time, and worked for her until June 2023, the lawsuit stated. Garcia said in a lawsuit when he traveled with Megan to Ibiza, Spain in June 2022, and that in the SUV with Megan and 3 other women after a night out, Megan and one of the women began to have sex next to him in the moving car. I felt uncomfortable. I was kind of frozen. I was shocked at kind of just be the overall audacity to do this right beside me, Garcia told NBC News in an interview. I'm doing his voice. That's what I think he sounds like. The following day, the rapper asked Garcia whether he was in the car with them the night before. And when he confirmed he was, Megan told him, don't ever discuss what you saw. Yeah, shut the fuck up, Emilio. Garcia said in the suit that during the same trip, Megan hurled fat-shaming insults at him, calling him a fat bitch and telling him to spit your food out and you don't need to be eaten. Yeah, to hear someone who advocates about loving your body to tell me these things, Garcia said in the interview, I felt degraded. When they returned from the trip, Garcia said in the lawsuit his compensation structure was changed from a monthly flat rate to a pay-per-task system that required him to submit invoices for each assignment. He said he was expected to provide the same services despite the pay structure, but alleges he was treated differently following the Ibiza trip and saw a decrease in bookings Megan hired him to do. Sounds like a disgruntled employee to me. Garcia began to consider quitting the job because of Megan's possessiveness combined with lack of appropriate pay for the amount of time asked of him and the lack of bookings, their suit states. Garcia remained on the schedule for a June 2023 job. After all this happened, he still wants work with her, but he was that scarred, but he stayed around for more jobs. Okay. But the night before, Rock Nation notified him that his services would no longer be required by Megan according to the lawsuit. And that happens in this business. It happens. People change managers. People change agents. People change photographers. That's just part of the business. It's the biggest temp job in the world, the entertainment business. There's no real job stability. Come on now. And you knew that. You know this when you get in this business. So stop acting like, you signed a 20-year deal. While working for Megan, Garcia endured a barrage of relentless sexual and fat-shaming comments, plunging him into profound emotional distress. Okay. What I learned throughout the years is that, especially coming from an office environment, is, there's no HR department in the entertainment business. Garcia told NBC News in an interview. So if you don't know that you're being done wrong, you don't really know how to advocate for yourself until you start asking. Maybe you start asking your peers who have representation. They have agents, they have management, they have attorneys. So I just really want to encourage people to advocate for themselves. And I want people that see one of the baddest musicians in the world sleeping with another woman to just brag about that to your friends, keep it off social media, and don't act like you're scarred by it. Bro, you got the best story at the bar right now. That's what you have. You got the best story to call your friends. You ain't gonna believe this shit. That's all that was. Nobody was scarred. Stop. The alleged behavior caused Garcia to face loss in earnings and other employment benefits, as well as physical injuries, physical sickness, and emotional distress. No. What you do when Megan says, don't you speak of it? You say, I don't know what you're talking about. You ain't got to worry me, Meg. I ain't see shit. I don't know shit. And nobody else going to know shit. That's what you say. And you take that shit to the grave with you. The suit states that while working for the entertainer, he was without basic insurance coverage and therefore could not get the care he needed. Now he grapples with the mounting anxiety, depression, and physical distress stemming from the toxic work environment. According to this is a shakedown if I ain't ever seen one. Stop. Stop, Emilio. You love that shit. You loved working for it. You loved the perks. And now you're not working for it anymore. And nothing else is coming your way. You're bitter. Megan just needs to pay our client what he's due. Own up to her behavior. What behavior? She's a fucking rock star. That's rock star shit right there. Ron Zambrano, attorney for Garcia, sent a statement to NBC News. Emilio should never have been put in a position of having to be in the vehicle with her while she had sex with another woman. People would pay top dollar to be in that vehicle. And you want to get paid. I don't know about that. Garcia's lawsuit also outlines alleged employment and wage violations that center on his classified independent contractor. Garcia told NBC News in an interview that he is seeking more. What? Garcia told NBC News in an interview that he is seeking more than six figures. The suit seeks unpaid wages as well as interest on the unpaid wages, unpaid overtime wages, and other employee benefits at the legal rate. He is also seeking statutory penalties and wage penalties pursuant to California labor laws, punitive damage, and according to proof and costs he incurred, including attorney fees. So, if this ain't a shakedown, I don't know what is. I'm like, listen, just anybody listening, if you want to get in the entertainment business as a cameraman, as a photographer, I'm talking about a grip, a sound guy, a singer, a backup singer, anything, you're going to see some shit if you're in this long enough. Comedian, actor, singer, you're going to see some shit. You're going to see some sexual shit. At some point in your career, if you're in this long enough, you're going to be like, holy fuck, I can't believe I just saw that. The shit I've seen in my life, oh. And I was talking to somebody about it, and the blogs and everybody else, they think they know what's going on, but sometimes they don't. A lot of times they don't. But then what I like about the business and the people that are in the business that trust you to invite them to your parties and be in cars with them and be in these circles that they know whatever you see is you don't see. I've seen a lot, but I ain't seen shit. I'll put it that way. I can talk about my own stories, but I will never throw anybody else's personal, I'm talking behind closed doors, sexual shit out there. Ever. I think that's what really bonds entertainers to me. And let's not do the Diddy shit. That's different. I'm talking about consensual things that happen. I've seen at parties, heard stories, been out with people. You take that shit to the grave. That's it. I don't see shit ever. So the fact that this guy, man, so you saw Megan the Stallion sleeping with another woman in Ibiza, Spain? That makes the story even better. You're not in Orlando. You're not in Indianapolis. This story doesn't hit the same. You're in Ibiza, Spain. That's where you go home. You call your homeboys up, homegirls up, and you guys are, next time you're out partying, you tell that story and you say, hey, this stays here. Nobody has a secret that nobody's ever known about. Let's put it that way. When people say don't tell nobody, what you're really saying is don't tell nobody that's going to tell somebody else that's going to let it get out. You could tell somebody, but it's got to be somebody you super trust that it's not going to get out there in the blogs and everything like that. You had that story, Emilio. You got the best story. And the fact that you kept working for her, that workplace wasn't that toxic. It wasn't that bad. I've quit jobs before in my life. And I was just like, I can't work here no more. I'm out. So I wasn't going back for more abuse and everything like that. So, I just think this is a shakedown at the highest level. I don't want to ever meet this guy, Emilio Garcia. I don't want to be around you. Please don't come to any of my shows. Don't take any pictures of me. Just please stay as far away from me as possible. And anybody that's friends with him, please stay away from me. I want nothing to do with none of you. And Megan, man, that's some rock star shit. Yeah. Moving car, Ibiza, Spain, and it's a woman. I see you. I see what you're doing there. Yeah. Well done. Well done, Megan. That's what I say. Boom. That's some rock star shit. I don't even want to know who the girl is. I'm just like, yeah, that's a story I like. I'll tell you what, if I was in that car, nobody would know shit. They wouldn't even know. They wouldn't even know I know Megan. But like that, who? You know Megan Trainor? Who? The Stallion? You talking about the Italian Stallion, Rocky Balboa? No, I'm talking about Megan Thee Stallion. Oh, the singer from Houston, right? Right? Is she from Houston? Okay, yeah. I think I heard her. Yeah. That's what you be getting from me. Not knowing I just saw you and another girl in Ibiza, Spain getting busy. Psh, taking that to the grave. But not Emilio, because Emilio ain't happy with his life. And Emilio ain't making the money he thought he was going to make. And now Emilio ain't got the perks because he ain't with you no more. So I'm going to throw you completely under the bus and just let that be fair warning. Anybody else that hires Emilio Garcia, be warned. He's telling you what he's going to do when shit don't go his way. Come on now. Ain't nobody scarred that bad. If you want to get compensated, that's fine. But you ain't got to go public and say that's why, because you saw her sleep with another woman. Now, if you want to say she didn't pay you for certain gigs or she promised you gigs, that's different. But that's not scandalous. That doesn't get you in the news, and that doesn't get you a 6-figure settlement. But the fact that you threw in that, all the other stuff, okay, maybe she's not the greatest boss. I don't know. Maybe that. But the fact that you threw in, you saw her sleeping with another woman in a vehicle in Ibiza, Spain, you completely invalidate all the other complaints to me. You broke the rule. Get out of the entertainment business. Nobody wants you in it. Opportunists kill me. Please. Go take some pictures of trees or animals. But stay out of the entertainment business, bruh. All right. Sorry. It bothers me a little bit. All right. Again, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm there this weekend. And L.A., May 2nd. I'm finally part of the Netflix is a Joke festival. Miracle Theater. So please, I ain't got to say please. I ain't begging. Tickets are moving pretty good. So, yeah, come see me in LA. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope as hell. All right, y'all. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.